There are promises made in the corridors of power that everyone understands will never be kept. Casual commitments exchanged in the warmth of a formal moment, genuine in their feeling but fragile in their follow-through, the kind that dissolve quietly in the demanding current of professional life without anyone being surprised or particularly disappointed. The world of politics and celebrity runs on these kinds of promises. Everyone inside it understands the unspoken rule. The words are real. The intention, perhaps, is real. But the follow-through belongs to a different category entirely, one that most people, in most circumstances, never reach. That is what made last Wednesday so completely impossible to prepare for. Because Shohei Ohtani remembered. To understand what happened, you have to go back to the south lawn of the White House, 12 months earlier, to a moment that had already become one of the most discussed exchanges in the recent intersection of sports and political ceremony. Melania Trump had appeared unexpectedly at the conclusion of the Dodgers' second consecutive White House visit. She had presented Ohtani with a beautifully bound collection of American poetry, offered with both hands, received with both hands, in a gesture of mutual respect that required no interpreter and generated no official statement but traveled around the world within hours regardless. What the cameras had not fully captured, what had existed only in the memory of those standing close enough to hear, was the brief exchange that followed the presentation of the book. After Melania spoke about the way a person treats those who cannot do anything for them, after the small genuine smile and the quiet nod, there had been one additional moment. Ohtani had spoken through his interpreter. He had said that in Japan, when someone offers a gift of such cultural weight, the proper response is not simply gratitude but reciprocity, not immediate, not transactional, but considered. Offered at the correct moment. Chosen with care proportional to what was received. He had said he would like, with her permission, to bring something the next time they met. Melania had tilted her head slightly and said, with the quiet warmth of someone who understood ceremony but did not always require it, that she would look forward to that. It was the kind of exchange that floats away on the current of a busy formal event. The kind that participants file somewhere in memory under the category of genuinely lovely moments that the momentum of life will probably prevent from becoming anything more. 12 months later, Ohtani walked back through the gates of the White House carrying a Paulownia wood box. Nobody on the official protocol team knew about it. That was the detail that stopped every reporter who broke the story in the first 24 hours, the detail that generated the most breathless commentary across sports and political media simultaneously. Not the box itself. Not even its contents. But the fact that Ohtani had carried it through the preparation process, the security screening, the pre-event briefing, the formal arrival, all of it, without a single member of the White House advance team being aware of what he had brought or why. He had not hidden it. He had simply not announced it. When asked during security screening what the box contained, he had answered honestly and completely through his interpreter. The contents were examined, approved, and passed through without incident. The security process had done exactly what it was designed to do. But the protocol team, whose job it is to anticipate every element of a White House event so that nothing occurs that has not been considered in advance, had no entry in their preparation documents for a Paulownia wood box carried quietly by a Japanese baseball player who had made a promise to the First Lady 1 year earlier on the South Lawn. One senior protocol officer, speaking to a journalist afterward, said it was the first time in her career that something had happened at a White House sports event that she genuinely could not have predicted even in her most thorough preparation. She said she had spent the previous week reviewing every detail of the visit. Every detail. And somehow, the most significant moment of the entire afternoon had arrived from a direction that no preparation process could have reached. Because no preparation process accounts for a man who keeps his promises. The Paulownia wood box itself is not a casual object in Japanese culture. To understand why the American media reacted with such stunned intensity when the story broke, you have to understand what that box represents and what its presence communicates to anyone with knowledge of Japanese tradition. Paulownia wood, kiri in Japanese, is considered one of the most precious materials in traditional Japanese craftsmanship. It is lightweight, resistant to moisture and insects, and possesses a natural quality that protects whatever is stored inside it from the damage that time inflicts on less carefully preserved things. For centuries, Paulownia wood boxes have been used to store and present objects of the highest cultural significance, tea ceremony instruments, ceremonial silks, objects passed between families across generations, gifts offered at moments when the giver wants the recipient to understand that what is being offered has been chosen with a seriousness that ordinary wrapping cannot communicate. When a Japanese person presents something in a Paulownia wood box, they are not simply giving a gift. They are saying, "I have thought about this for a long time. I have chosen this with care that goes beyond convenience. I am offering you something I consider worthy of preservation. And I am trusting you to understand the weight of what is being placed in your hands." Ohtani had carried this box through the gates of the White House. Through security. Through the pre-event corridor. Through the formal ceremony in the East Room where President Trump had once again offered praise that filled the room and made Ohtani laugh with genuine surprise. Through the South Lawn photography. Through all of it, quietly, without announcement, waiting for the correct moment with the patience of someone who had learned from his own culture that timing is not a detail but the entire foundation of meaning. Melania appeared on the South Lawn as the formal portion of the event was concluding, following almost exactly the pattern of her appearance the previous year. Those who had been present 12 months earlier recognized the rhythm of it immediately. The same deliberateness. The same quiet authority. The same sense of a choice being made fully and consciously. She moved through the assembled group. She exchanged brief words with several players. And then she reached Ohtani. He did not wait for an exchange of pleasantries. He did not build toward the moment with explanation or preamble. He turned slightly to the staff member who had been carrying the box during the event, received it with both hands, and presented it to Melania Trump with the formal, two-handed offering that is the physical language of sincere respect in Japanese tradition. He spoke through his interpreter. His words were brief. He said he had not forgotten the promise he made on this lawn 1 year ago. He said he had spent considerable time choosing something he believed was worthy of the book she had given him, something that came from Japan the way her gift had come from America, something that carried the same intention of offering the best of one place to someone from another. He said he hoped she would accept it as a small expression of the gratitude he had been carrying for 12 months. Melania looked at the box for a moment without speaking. Then she accepted it with both hands. She held it carefully, with the instinctive reverence of someone who understood immediately, without needing to be told, that what she was holding was not an object but a statement. She looked at the craftsmanship of the wood. She ran her thumb lightly along the edge of the lid. Those standing nearby said the room, or rather the open air of the South Lawn, with its flags and cameras and assembled crowd, went quieter than outdoor spaces usually manage to go. She opened the box. What was inside has been described differently by different witnesses, because people standing at various distances saw different levels of detail. But the consistent elements across every account are these: a handcrafted object of clear artistic significance, wrapped in traditional Japanese cloth, accompanied by a small card on which something had been written by hand in both Japanese and English. Melania read the card. And then, in front of the cameras and the staff and the assembled players and the protocol officers and the journalists and everyone else gathered on the South Lawn of the White House on that clear afternoon, Melania Trump's eyes filled with tears. She did not look away. She did not turn from the cameras with the reflexive privacy of someone caught in an unguarded moment. She simply stood with the open Paulownia wood box in her hands and allowed what was happening in her face to be exactly what it was. No management. No performance. No careful recovery into public composure. Just a woman, genuinely moved, standing in the afternoon light. Ohtani bowed. A full, sincere bow, not the small, socially reflexive inclination that passes for a bow in casual international settings, but the real thing. The bow of someone who means it completely. Nobody spoke for what felt, to every person present, like a very long time. By midnight, the story had broken across every major platform simultaneously. The images from the South Lawn, Melania's face, the open box, Ohtani's bow, the tears that she had not tried to hide, were everywhere. Japanese media ran continuous coverage with the particular combination of pride and emotional restraint that characterizes the way Japan receives news about one of its own doing something that reflects well on everything the culture values most. American media, less accustomed to sitting quietly with moments that resist easy categorization, produced a volume of commentary that ranged from deeply considered cultural analysis to simple, unadorned expressions of being moved by something they had not expected to be moved by. One political journalist, known for a sharp and unsentimental approach to White House coverage, filed a piece that night that began with a single sentence her editor almost cut for being too simple. She kept it. It read, "He remembered." 2 words. No elaboration. No context. No analytical framework applied to soften the impact of something that impact was the entire point of. He remembered. In a world that has quietly accepted the forgetting of promises as an inevitable feature of lives lived at speed and scale, Shohei Ohtani had carried a Paulownia wood box through the gates of the White House and placed it, with both hands, into the hands of someone who had offered him something worth remembering. And in doing so, had reminded everyone who witnessed it, and the millions more who saw it on their screens that night, that the distance between a promise made and a promise kept is not a matter of time or circumstance or the competing demands of an extraordinary life. It is a matter of character. And character, it turns out, travels across every culture, every language, every boundary that human beings have ever constructed to explain why they are different from each other. It arrives, always, with both hands.